Hey Astro Kids and welcome back. This is your August 2020 horoscope for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So this is an interesting month for those of you with Capricorn as we have a lot of Leo that is going on. This is Leo season and Leo is in this quincunx with Capricorn. So there's a lot that is going to be going on here in your 8th house for those of you with Capricorn rising. And you may feel this as well if you are a Capricorn sun or moon. So first thing starting off here on August 3rd, our first major transit is a full moon in Aquarius. And this is interesting because we had two Cancer new moons this year as we started off that three-part eclipse season with a Sagittarius penumbral lunar eclipse, followed by that Cancer solar eclipse new moon. And starting off this lunar phase that we are ending here on the 3rd, we started off with a new moon in Cancer. So this is a full moon in Aquarius that is not completing a cycle that is starting with a new moon in Leo. This time we are dealing with this new moon in Cancer, and this took place back in your 7th house, where there has been a lot of new beginnings in terms of the people that you were interacting with, in terms of your business, in terms of your relationships, right? A lot that has been going on as far as changes with partnerships, with the people that you're interacting with, the people that you're relating to, the business contracts, the associations in your business life. And so moving ahead here with this full moon in Aquarius, this is a full moon in your 2nd house, where this is a big time of releasing and letting go of these old values and these old beliefs that no longer serve you. And so this is a big time of shifting your security, shifting your stability in your life. And a lot of this, once again, is having to do with that shift that has been happening there in your 7th house, where some of you have been working on business, some of you have been working on your relationships, and now this is setting the stage for a brand new foundation. But in order to move forward, you must release the old values, the old systems, the old structures that have been in place that no longer serve you. It's a big time of letting go of these old forms of values and belief systems tied and connected to your relationships, to your business world, that no longer bring you this sense of security in your life. Now, moving forward on the 4th of August, we have Mercury entering into Leo. So Mercury has spent a great deal of time in the sign of Cancer there in your 7th house, where there has been a lot of communication with others. There's been a lot of having to rearrange your connections, your friendships, your business partnerships, your romantic relationships. And now Mercury is finally leaving the 7th house, moving ahead into your 8th house, where we already see the sun at, where there has been a lot of shedding the light on how you can better connect with others, on what is hidden behind the scenes, how you can bring in your source of income through others. So there's been a lot that has been coming to the light for those of you with Capricorn rising as you've been shifting, going through this transformation. Once again, remembering that Pluto and Jupiter has been retrograde in your 1st house, along with Saturn that retrogressed back into that 1st house as well. So a lot of shifts and changes going on internally within you, within yourself, for those of you with Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Big time for transformation. And so as Mercury enters into your 8th house, this continues with Mercury giving you details and information that is needed for you to continue to grow and evolve. And so this is a big time where Mercury is going to be shedding a lot of light on the areas that need the growth and improvement here in terms of your close connections, in terms of your finances, and for some of you in terms of how you are going to heal and transform from your experiences in the past. So very, very deep transformative time for those of you with Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Lots of changes happening here. Deep changes. So these are not little changes. This is a moment of transforming and evolving into the best version of yourself. Now, moving forward here on the 7th of August, we have Venus entering into Cancer. And so now Venus is entering into your 7th house, where this can be a big time of starting to farm healthier relationships for some of you, starting to farm new business associates, starting to farm new relationships that better serve you. And so this is bringing a sense of value and worth to your relationships. And so for some of you, this is a big time of starting to make peace and agreements and come to decisions about who serves you in your life. Which relationships are healthy for you and which ones are not. It's a big time of really deciding which partnerships, which relationships, which agreements serve you the best in your life. And this is, again, coming off of that Mercury retrograde that happened there in your 7th house, where there has been a lot of decision making, a lot of revisiting the old to see where the pieces don't fit and the areas that no longer serve you in your life. Moving forward on the 15th of August, we have Uranus stationing retrograde. And we have not seen this since the beginning of the year when Uranus came out of its retrograde. Remember that we had that retrograde back in August of last year. And so this is going to be our new Uranus retrograde. And with this Uranus retrograde, this is a big time, especially with Uranus being in your 5th house, of reevaluating what are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that bring you fun and excitement? Looking at your choices and decisions about doing what is fun, what is different, what is unique, and seeing how that actually serves you. Because this has been a big time for those of you with Capricorn rising of being unconventional, of doing different things in your life, especially doing it in the things that bring you pleasure and joy. So a lot of shifts that have happened here in terms of romance for some of you, in terms of fun and leisurely activities for some of you, in terms of new studies or new interests or new hobbies. There's been a lot here in terms of making spontaneous decisions to do something new and fun and exciting. And now this is asking you to revisit to make sure that your habits, to make sure that your hobbies, your routines are those that actually serve you and benefit you in your life. And so any previous choices or decisions that were reckless, that don't serve you, have to go now during this cycle of reevaluating what were these genius ideas, what were these unconventional ideas about what you really wanted to do. And making sure that what you are doing is truly something that serves and benefits you to the highest, greatest good. So this is a big time here of really starting to reinvent yourself, really starting to make the necessary changes, but only the ones that truly serve and benefit you in your life. And you will see which ones do not serve you through this retrograde, as this will bring up those areas that you want to look at. Moving forward on the 18th of August, we have a new moon in Leo. So this is the start of our new lunar phase with a new moon in Leo. And this is a big time for you to look deeper. This is a big time to look inward, right? This is a big time for more intimate relationships, for relationships that better serve you, that better benefit you, that give you the resources and the emotional satisfaction that is needed. So this is about what is fulfilling to you, whether this is on a monetary level for those dealing with business partners, whether this is romantic, or simply a new phase of life that you are going through. Is this something that serves you? Is this something that is emotionally fulfilling to you? Is this something that you can get the resources that are needed out of it? This is the big question here, especially dealing with that Uranus in your fifth house that we talked about and that Venus in your seventh house. Big focus here on relationships, big focus here on agreements. And so for some of you, you're dealing with choices or agreements that you've made and checking to make sure that they are really truly serving you and benefiting you. And for some of you, you are dealing with business partnerships or romantic relationships and making sure that this is something that truly is emotionally fulfilling, something that truly benefits you, something that truly nourishes your soul during this time. It's a big opportunity here to go deeper, to make sure that you have everything that you need in these situations. Moving forward here on the 22nd, we have our last major transit. Of course, we will get into those minor transits in our daily horoscopes. But last big transit here in the month of August is the sun entering into Virgo. So we are shifting seasons now. We're leaving behind this Leo season of doing what is fun, exciting, adventurous. And again, for many of you, you have Leo there in your eighth house, where that adventure is about transforming yourself. It is about going deeper. It is about forming those connections that truly fulfill you and nourish you on a soul level. So moving forward here, the sun entering into Virgo is a big shift as the sun is leaving your eighth house where it has been lighting up all of these darker, deeper areas of your life where you need to change, you need to transform, you need to form deeper connections, you need to make sure that everything that you're connecting to is meaningful and fulfilling. And moving up into your ninth house, where now this is a time to really explore and to look higher for more opportunities to learn, to grow, to evolve. So this growth process that you are going through is not finished yet, right? This is a process where you have done a lot of major healing, a lot of major transformation, especially as we saw Saturn sitting there in your second house and it shifted back into your first. There's been a lot of deep inner work and transformation, and remembering that that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction will show up in December there in your second house. And so all of these shifts and changes that you are making are leading up to something big for you, Capricorn. And so this is a big time to explore. This is a big time to learn, for some of you to teach. This is the moment of growth in your life. So that was a look at the major transits for August. I'm going to go ahead and get into the cards. And for the month of August, I did pull from the Rider Tarot deck as well as the Barbie Aries Zodiac Oracle deck. So we're going a little bit old school with our older decks here. First card we are dealing with is the Seven of Swords in reverse. And so big time of releasing, big time of letting go. There is something that is weighing heavy on those of you who have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. There's something big here that you want to release and let go of, to move on with your life, to move on to the next stage or phase here. And so remembering that we are having this full moon in your second house, where there's something that was once of value to you. There was something that once held that weight and that worth in your life that no longer serves you. So this is something that you don't want to take with you moving forward here. And for many of you, this is dealing with relationships, right? We talked a lot about how that seventh house is going to be highlighted, as well as that eighth house. And of course, we have Uranus that is sitting there in your fifth house, where there's a lot going on here in terms of whether this is business partnerships, whether this is romantic relationships, whether this is simply an intimate relationship with yourself, right? We talked about that deep transformation of the eighth house. And so there is this shift, this change that's happening here in your relationships. There is something that you no longer want to take with you. And so for some of you, this is a big time of figuring out what are the choices, what are the decisions that you want to make to better your life in this area. And for some of you, this means walking away from what you no longer want to carry with you along this journey. For some of you, this is about making amends, right? We talked about that Venus sitting in your seventh house, where some of you are having to deal with either finding peace by letting go or finding peace by coming to some sort of an agreement here with this Venus sitting in your seventh house. So talking it out, coming to an agreement. Of course, this is our Gemini card, the Lovers. So for some of you, you need to talk it out, right? You need to have an honest conversation and get to the point of what it is that you want to work on and whether it's going to work moving forward for you. Next card here is the Page of Wands. So it is a new journey that you're embarking down, whether that means making necessary changes, coming to certain agreements here. But for many of you, you're actually letting go of a connection that no longer serves you, right? This is talking about a new chapter of doing what you love, doing what you enjoy. We talked a lot about that Uranus that is going to be sitting there in your fifth house, where many of you are going to have to figure out what is it that serves you, what is it that benefits you here with this Uranus that is sitting here in your fifth house that is about to go through a retrograde. Next card here is the Magician. It's a big time of creating the reality that you want for yourself. Once again, this is a time where you have to figure out what truly serves you. What is it that you truly want to have for yourself? What is it that you're willing to create? Are you going to create a connection that doesn't serve you or that does serve you? Speaking of service, we do have the Six of Pentacles here. Big time of figuring out what you want to serve, what you want to give value and worth to in your life. Is this something that's bettering and improving your life? Or are you just giving and not receiving anything, right? We talked a lot about that Mercury that is entering into your eighth house, where there's a lot of focus here that needs to take place in terms of, are you being fulfilled? Are you getting the nourishment? Are you getting the resources that you need in these connections? Next card here is the Page of Swords. And so once again, big time to have a conversation, big time to be honest, to get straight to the point, to figure out what is going to work for you. Are there going to be changes here, or are you going to have to let go? Next card is the Four of Cups. So many of you are going to let go. Many of you are starting to walk away, are starting to give less attention to these areas that are challenging you. So big time to actually come up with a choice, a decision, not to avoid, because our next card here is the Seven of Cups in reverse, where many of you are trying to avoid a difficult decision, right? We're avoiding here with this Four of Cups, which is great. We want to let go of this negative situation, this toxic situation, this situation that no longer serves you. But are we doing that by just turning our backs and not actually having the conversation, not actually getting to the point, not actually making a solid choice? So big time to make that choice for yourself of what truly is worth your time, what truly is valuable to you in your life. So we're going to go ahead and move on now to our Barbieri Zodiac Oracle deck. First card here is the Moon in reverse. So many of you, once again, are disconnecting from something, right? Big time of disconnecting. And so what is it that no longer serves you? What is it that you're trying to disconnect from? And for many of you, it is relationships, right? We talked a lot about how that seventh house and that eighth house is being activated. Big choices and decisions for many of you around romantic connections, around business partnerships, or simply around the connection to your old self, right? Because many of you are here going through major transformations, expanding, growing, right? We talked about how we're going to see that sun enter into your ninth house. Big time for your growth, for your evolution, for your healing, for your expansion, for learning. So many of you are here transforming and figuring out Venus. What is of value to you, right? We talked about that Venus in your seventh house, where this is a big time to come to an agreement, to have a discussion, to make a decision, a choice about what is it that is truly of value and worth to you in your life. So big time of deciding, what are you disconnecting to? Are you going to disconnect from something that is of no worth to you in your life? And how are you going to do it? Are you going to do it in a healthy way, or are you going to just avoid the choice? Right? So big time of really coming to a decision, talking this out, making the change that's necessary. So that was your horoscope for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising for August 2020. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. I also want to mention that I am currently offering a class that can be found in the private Facebook group Astrology Lessons with Daquan Jones, or on Udemy, or also on Patreon. So I will leave the information for that down below in the comments if that is something that you are interested in. I also have a free group where you can share your spiritual wisdom, motivational advice, or simply just peace and love. So feel free to join the group on Facebook, Astro Metaphysical Love and Light. And I want to thank you all once again so much for joining. I hope you all have a great day. And I want to thank all of the spirits who joined today to make this message possible. I will see you all in the next video.